I know many of you have been wondering what type of aeroplane I'm going to be flying next. Well, today all will be revealed. No, not this one, at least not yet. That one.
Let me introduce the Piper Arrow 3. This is the type of aeroplane I'll be flying from now on.
It looks very much like the Warrior that I'm used to, but this aeroplane has a retractable undercarriage, a constant speed propeller and a 200 horsepower engine.
All of that means I'm going to need a little bit of training. Unlike with a change of car, if you change the aircraft you fly, you should undergo some instruction so that you're up to speed with the different systems, important airspeeds, limitations and emergency procedures. So I've come to Blackbushe Airport in Hampshire, and commercial airline captain and instructor Steve Pells has agreed to help.
So Steve, I fly a Warrior. The Arrow looks very similar, but I know it's quite different. I mean, what are the main differences between the two?
The similarities are greater than the differences. Mostly you will find the aircraft very similar to what you're used to. The main differences are the fact that it's got the retractable gear and the constant speed propeller. And those are the differences that we're going to have to look at today.
Golf Zulu Romeo, Alpha 1 ready for departure.
Today's training will involve a flight out to the local area where I'll get hands-on with the Arrow, and then we'll complete some circuits where I'll get used to the new procedures.
Do you want to give it a minute?
Well, with that wind in that direction, I think we'll be fine. Across.
Lining up 2-5, Golf Zulu Romeo.
Steve sent me some reading material before today's lesson, so I've learnt the relevant speeds for retracting and extending the gear, and I now know some of the theory behind the variable pitch propeller.
Ready?
Yep.
A lot of right rudder, wow. Airspeed's alive.
When do you think we might take the gear up after takeoff?
Presumably when we've run out of runway.
When we've run out of runway, yeah. On larger aircraft, you take the gear up straight away, but with a light aircraft, especially a single, when there is a possibility of an engine failure and we might want to land back on the runway, we retract the gear once there's no further runway left. So we'll take off. Once there's not enough runway to land on, we'll squeeze the brakes to stop the wheels from spinning and then retract the gear.
Okay, runway is gone, so we'll put brakes on.
Yep.
And then we'll, oopsie. So it's pull and up.
So notice the warning gear unsafe and the horn. Yeah, that's gone out and the 3 greens are
okay.
on.
The next step after takeoff is to reduce the power to the climb setting, 2500 RPM and 25 inches on the manifold pressure. But with a variable pitch propeller, that's not as simple as just throttling back.
If you're decreasing power, we want to move the levers from left to right. If we're increasing power, we want to move the levers from right to left.
And now it's throttled back to
So, yeah, relatively
25.
large pull on that one.
There we go.
Not quite that large. That's it, and a very fine tweak on that one.
There we go.
That's it, there's 25.
As the aircraft climbs, the ambient pressure will reduce, and that will cause the manifold pressure to gradually reduce as we climb, about 1 inch for every 1,000 feet. So as we carry out a prolonged climb, we need to slowly increase the manifold pressure by pushing the throttles forward.
So notice already the manifold pressure is just starting to reduce.
There we go.
But the RPM has not moved, and it won't. So 1,000 feet above the airfield, we can do the after takeoff checks, which are probably quite similar: landing light, fuel pump, and the recognition light.
Gears up, flaps are up.
That's it.
And temperatures and pressures, fine.
So why don't we climb to 2,000 and just head in this direction, and then we'll have a look at some of the gear warnings.
Sure. Golf Zulu Romeo left the ATZ heading west-northwest to request frequency change, farmer radar 125.250. Do you want a traffic service, or are you happy with basic?
I think we'll be okay with basic if you are.
So we'll level off first here. So it's going to be power down, power first.
5,500 feet radar control.
So here we go. Leveling off at 2,000. Power to 23, which is about there. RPM to 23. About there. And then we can lean
Do you just judge it by sight at 10?
Purely by sight to the 10.
Farnborough radar, Golf Charlie Bravo Zulu Romeo, request basic service.
Golf Charlie Bravo Zulu Romeo, Farnborough radar, pass your message.
Golf Charlie Bravo Zulu Romeo, so PA28 Blackbushe to Blackbushe VFR, northwest of Blackbushe by about 4 miles, altitude 2,000 feet, 1015, request basic service.
Golf Zulu Romeo, QNH 1016, basic service, squawk 0440.
1016 basic service, squawk 0440, Golf Zulu Romeo.
Now that we're clear of Blackbushe, Steve shows me the warnings we may get with different throttle and flap settings.
Reduce the manifold pressure to about 20.
So it's powered down first.
When are you going to move that?
Yeah.
Keep moving it further.
Number 1, brake,
A little bit more.
789, turn left heading 280 degrees. When established on the localizer, descend with the glide path.
All the way. There we go. So now, it thinks you're flaring to land, it knows the gear's up, it's giving you a horn and a light.
Is that the same as the stall warning sound? It is, isn't it?
It's similar.
Yeah.
So there's two ways to get rid of that. One is to put the gear down, the other is to put the power up. So let's put the power up.
Power up.
So that's the first warning.
Okay.
Power below a certain manifold, gear up.
20 miles from touchdown.
When it's safe to do so, select one stage of flap.
Okay. So we're at 100 knots. So we can put in one stage. There we go.
Okay, the aircraft's quite happy with that.
Yeah.
Select another stage.
Okay.
Okay, the aircraft sees you've got more than one stage of flap in.
Yeah.
It thinks you're probably going to land. The gear is up, so you get another warning.
Okay.
Again, two ways to get rid of that. One is to put the gear down. The other is to retract the flap.
Okay.
No matter how much power you've got on, that warning will still sound.
Okay.
So if you'd like to retract the flap,
Traffic information, due, limited radar performance, and fair oaks underneath the 9 mile final.
so those are the kind of warnings that you may get if you don't put the gear down. So what's the maximum speed for lowering the gear?
129.
129. We're below that, so why don't we lower the gear, just to see what it feels like and what the indications are.
Okay. So gear coming down.
So you get the warning because it's unsafe. You can feel the
Yeah.
pitch change as the airflow changes. Now the sound's gone out, we've got 3 greens.
Okay.
And that's us cruising with the gear down. Obviously, a bit more drag.
Yeah.
Airspeed's reduced to about 90.
Yep.
What's the maximum speed for retracting the gear?
100 and something. 107.
So we're safe, so let's retract it.
Okay. Gear coming up.
And the same as you saw before.
Waiting for green.
You won't get green because the gear's now up.
Oh, of course.
Yep. Right, when you're ready, let's put the gear down again.
Okay. So we're in gear safe speed. Gear coming down. We've got no sound.
Oh dear.
And 3 blank lights, so we've got a gear problem.
I have control.
You have control.
So if you'd like to run through the checklist for the emergency extension, I'll fly the aircraft for you.
Battery master switch, alternator switch on, battery master alternator on. Circuit breakers, well, we know you've pulled it. Nav light switch is off. Gear indication bulbs, well, they're all out, so swapping them isn't going to make any difference, is it? And the lever's down. Landing gear does not check down a lot. Airspeed reduced below 87 knots. So, oh, I see. So you do a climb, yeah.
I'll put take a bit of power off, yeah.
Landing gear select, right, there's 85, and that goes all the way down.
And you can feel it coming down there.
1, 2.
So,
We've got one that's not on.
we could have a bulb that's not working.
So we'll check the bulb. It's not the bulb.
Okay. Is there anything else at the checklist?
Let's have a look. We can do the yawing.
Yawing the aeroplane aggressively left and right and at a slower speed is designed to help lock the remaining wheel into place, and with 3 green lights we return to Blackbushe to do some circuits.
Is that Farnborough there? That's Farnborough, isn't it? Or is that Blackbushe? Oh, Farnborough's the other side. That's Blackbushe
Yeah,
there. Right.
Blackbushe, this one.
Golf Zulu Romeo, request frequency change, Blackbushe, information 122.305.
Squawk 7000, free call.
Squawk 7000, Golf Zulu Romeo. Blackbushe, information, Golf Charlie Bravo Zulu Romeo, inbound for circuits 5 miles northwest.
Charlie Bravo Zulu Romeo, Blackbushe information, the runway is 25, left-hand circuit, QFE is 1005.
25 left-hand circuit, QFE 1005, Golf Zulu Romeo.
QNH
So it'll be fuel, radios, engine temperatures and pressures,
70.
direction
Next
indicators,
frequency, radar
1005, and then we're powering down, so we bring that down.
On the track west, not above 2,400 feet, QNH 1017.
Golf Zulu Romeo entering the 80Z, descending to circuit height.
Zulu Romeo, roger, report downwind for 25.
Report downwind 25, Golf Zulu Romeo.
Now, the obvious place to put the gear down is on the downwind leg. I like to put the gear down at the beginning of the downwind leg, and that gives me time to wait for the gear to come down, to get my 3 greens, carry on with the rest of my pre-landing checks, and then come around to land. The problem with that, of course, is that we don't always have a downwind leg. If you come in on this long final, on a base leg, or any other combination of it, you're losing your trigger to put the gear down, which obviously is dangerous.
Now coming in this way, you're not going to get the full downwind leg.
No.
So you might want to take the gear a little bit earlier.
So we're below speed now, gear coming down.
That will also help keep your speed under control.
So you've got 3 greens, brakes, undercarriage, mixture is rich. Golf Zulu Romeo, late downwind 25.
Zulu Romeo, roger, report final.
Report final, Golf Zulu Romeo.
So we introduce a secondary check on final, where we say to ourselves, out loud if you like, reds, greens, blues. So on final, with the runway in front of you, you'll say reds, you'll check that you have your mixtures rich, greens, that the gear is down, 3 greens, and blue, that the propeller levers are fully forward.
Golf Zulu Romeo, turning final 25, touch and go.
Golf Zulu Romeo, runway 25, touch and go at your discretion, surface wind 290 degrees, 13 knots, recent gust of 18.
Golf Zulu Romeo.
What could we check?
Reds, blues, greens. Runway is clear, we've got clearance, or we don't need clearance, but you know what I mean.
On the next circuit, Steve checked to see if I've been taking everything in. Without me noticing, he turned on the nav lights, which dims the green landing gear lights. The question is, will I spot the problem?
Okay, so we're within gear speed, gear coming down. And we've got the gear down. Brakes, undercarriage, mixture.
There are no green lights, but I've said that the gear is down. This is confirmation bias. Will I remember my reds, blues and greens check on final approach and pick up the error?
Zulu Romeo, downwind 25, touch and go.
Zulu Romeo, roger, report final.
Report final, Golf Zulu Romeo. Golf Zulu Romeo, turning final 25, touch and go.
Zulu Romeo, runway 25, touch and go at your discretion, surface wind is 310 degrees, 15 knots.
Right, reds, blues. Right, we haven't got that on, so
Go
going
around.
around. Golf Zulu Romeo, going around.
Zulu Romeo, roger.
That was my little trick.
Thank you.
I wanted to see if you would spot it, and you did eventually. But we need to do a go around anyway,
Yeah.
so.
I'm so angry with myself for missing the lights on downwind, but I'm pleased that I realised my mistake on the final approach check.
Reds, blues and greens, we've got 3 greens.
We completed the exercise with a flapless landing and then taxied back to parking.
Well, that was a really exciting flight. It's great to be learning something new again after so long. I think I started flying the Warrior in about 2013, so here we are some years later and I'm starting to learn to fly another type. There's quite a lot to think about, a lot of new things to have to remember, but I'm really looking forward to flying this aircraft and others like it and getting into practice.
My thanks to Steve Pell's Blackbushe Flying Group, Blackbushe Aviation and the Aerodrome Management. For a small amount of money each month you can get access to additional content. My paying supporters can watch bonus footage from this episode now. If you do nothing else though, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on notifications. That costs you nothing. Until next time, fly safely my friends.